How's it going, everyone? So today we have some updates. I have all the rear suspension put back together on the hatch. Now this is temporary. This is still the drum brakes, but this will get it to where I can get this car moved and put it up on the lift and get the other car on the lift, and we can do the old switcheroo. I put the seats back in because we are going to start wiring, and probably even starting on the dash, which I like to have the seats in because it makes it more comfortable to work around. I put the dummy motor in, so this doesn't even really have most of the internals in it, but this is good enough that we will be able to run all the sensors that we need mainly. And then if I don't have my rod bearings by the time that I get all this wired up, I will start wiring the transmission. And then I actually have to wire this whole car, like the headlights, taillights, etc. Fuel pump, all that stuff. All that's got to be rewired. So even the horn. So that's what's going on with that. The block has finally got epoxied, and it looks beautiful. We got to clean up the surface, and the rod bearings, we still have no answer yet. I have come to terms that I'm going to have to buy the bearings from Honda, which are like $400, but it's better than not running this year at all. So these ACL bearings, I don't know what the deal is with them, but they are out of spec whenever I put them on these rods. I don't know what's going on, but I have a whole set of used yellow bearings from the factory motor, and I put them in there, and everything spec'd out perfect. So I don't know if these bearings are maybe the quality control's down, or maybe these bearings are based on, like, say the green bearing and not the yellow one. I'm suspecting that that's what it is. The King bearings specifically say they are based off of the green bearings. So, you know, it's probably my luck, but the heads are assembled. They are ready to go as soon as the block is ready to go. But that is on all of it on that. The Del Sol I've taken out the last couple weekends, and I keep having a coupler issue. I keep blowing the 4-inch side off on the throttle body. So what I'm going to end up doing is just kind of limping it by for a couple weeks. I 3D printed a mold off with the printer. Remember, I asked if anybody wanted me to do some videos on that. Well, here's a little sub-in video. I made this mold, 3D modeled it, and then I put these little walls on there, taped all that on, and then this had some popsicle sticks on the back, which sat on top of here and basically kept this floated in there. It's kind of hard to hold it. It's about like that. And it left like a 3 to 4 millimeter gap all the way around. Now, the first one came out perfect. And then every other attempt, not so much. It kept sticking to the print, and eventually I had this aha moment where I was like, well, it's got to be the layer lines. So I body filled it, sanded it down smooth, and it's still stuck. Now I'm using mold release and everything like that for the wax. Nothing would work. So what I ended up doing was pretty much hitting my head on the wall a bunch, and I finally had this epiphany that, hey, I can just make a sheet of wax. So I melted a bunch of wax, and then I poured it onto a paper plate with some mold release on it. I let that cool, and then I popped it off as a round sheet of wax. And then I put that in hot water, and then if you get the water hot enough, that wax will just basically, it won't melt, but it'll mold. And I basically just pushed it down in this in every direction and let it overhang around in every direction, and then cut the excess off with a razor blade. And then I ended up making this. Now I have 4 of these. And what I'll end up doing is putting some vents on here and then casting this in plaster of Paris. I'll flip it upside down, build a fire underneath of it, and melt all this wax out. Now the wax melts at like 150, 180 degrees. So once that's melted out, I will melt some aluminum in a furnace, and then whenever this is all melted out, it'll leave that cavity inside there, and I'll pull this or pour this with a molten aluminum. And then hopefully I get a really good, nice cast aluminum casting out of that. Now, you can see that this is quite a bit smaller. It's probably like an inch, inch and a half this direction smaller. But I need that because I'm going to weld a V-band to this and then weld a V-band to the throttle body too. And then I will mechanically hold these together instead of working with some clamps or anything like that. I'll get a more mechanical connection. So that's in the works. Like I said, there's a lot of stuff that I have on video that never makes it to this channel. So if I do something and you guys want to see it, just let me know, because there's a good chance that I have it on video. I just, don't find the time to edit everything that I make. So even this, I went into depth on how I made it and the molds and everything else. So if this is something you want to see, drop it in the comments, and on a rainy day, I'll edit the video and throw it up. I did find this down by the creek. Now, this is a really good find. This is not something that I normally even look for. I have some buddies who hunt for these, but I have big hands and I'm barely have my fingers touching around this. It's a 13 pointer. Now, I don't know if this thing died from natural causes or if it was shot maybe and someone got a bad placement on it. But, I got a friend that just does hunting. He basically works and hunts, and he said it scored around 160, 170. That's big for the farm that I live on, but that was a really interesting find. I probably need to learn how they score those, so maybe I can measure it up myself. But that'll do it for today. Don't forget, smash that like button. And if you want to see more content like this, or if you want to see something specific, consider subscribing and drop a comment. We'll see you guys on the next video.